screen. You can see the slides. Super good. All righty. So welcome everyone to this next 9x live workshop. I have a bit of a weird chair. I'm on a staircase. So we'll see how this goes, but that's the best spot I could find where I am. Today we are going to have less of a hands-on workshop than we usually do. And we're going to dive into the topic of AI operators, more specifically how you can become one. And for those who don't know us yet, a quick introduction. So we are 9x, go9x.com. We are building your one-stop shop to learn AI and automation. We believe AI and automation are the most important skills to learn right now as a business professional. And we're on a mission to bring you these skills on a silver platter. So some of the things we do, we offer courses, company workshops, live workshops like this one, all the way down to custom programs for larger companies. And I'm going to have a couple of advertisements before. So advertisement number one of 3 distinct courses. So we have the AI Starter, which is an introduction course of about 3 hours. And there you will be able to discover what's possible with AI. So we'll see the pillars of AI-led operations, the different AI platforms that are available out there, and the skills you need to learn in the age of AI. Second course.
Yeah, I think Alex is
We're launching today, the AI operator. Our flagship course, which we renamed recently, so the AI Builder. And here, this is more advanced and it's for people to learn to automate with AI, so building AI-powered automations and AI agents. So that's the 3 courses that we have. AI Operator is launching today. The AI Starter is being revamped and launched in the summer, and the AI Builder is
Alex, can you hear me?
already available. Yes.
The connection seems to be bad, or your connection seems to be bad. Maybe you can switch off your camera because we are losing you all the time.
Okay, so we'll turn off the camera. Hope it's better.
Thank you.
Without it, can you hear me better? Is it better now?
Yes, I think so. It's better.
Is it better for everyone? Okay. Okay, cool. So we'll do without. Man, everything's on slides anyway, so they should be better. Hopefully, I'm in the middle of France, so the connection's a bit the best I could get. So that's for advertisement number 1. Advertisement number 2. Events like these are run on a weekly basis. And next week, we will be back. So not me, but Piv, who's also in the call, will be back with another 9x Live workshop. AI meets finance, exploring automation with 9x and recap. So for this one, we're bringing fintech experts who will explore how AI is. Please mute.
Crush those patterns. And then I'm going to share.
Muted now, Alex. I think someone's running their own live workshop on the side.
Okay, can you hear me now? It's good? Okay, very good. All right, so I was saying, so we will explore, so Piv will explore together with Jonas from Recap, who's CPO there. We'll explore how AI is transforming financial operations. And so we'll share some insights on how Recap, among others, is building the next generation of finance platforms. And we're going to drop the link in the chat so you can register. Highly recommend if you are working in finance and want to get a sneak peek into what's coming next. And finally, last advertisement. We are going big this year on YouTube. And if you want to stay up to date on what's going on in the AI automation space, we share new videos each week. That's entirely free. You can subscribe. There's a lot of good stuff. There's tutorials, news. Yeah, so make sure to subscribe. We'll also share the link in the chat. Okay, so I just need to move a couple of things here. So today we're going to see the topic of an AI operator. I divided this presentation in 5 sections. We're going to see first, what is an AI operator? What are we talking about here? What makes an AI operator? What are sort of the ingredients? And we're going to dive into what we call the AI mindset, the field expertise and the technical expertise that you need to combine in order to become one. Okay, so what is an AI operator? So an AI operator is going to use AI, whether it's LLMs, whether it's AI workflows, whether it's agents, or the next big thing, to expand their impact, to do more. And as such, an AI operator orchestrates AI to build that extra leverage. They're not using AI like regular users, they orchestrate it. And so this is a fundamental difference. Users ask AI to do tasks, regular basic AI users. Operators are going to design AI to run systems for them. And AI is about to redefine every role. So this is going to happen, we believe, inside every function and for every role. AI will be bigger than the internet. And soon a lot of things that we do at the moment standing in front of our computers will be automated, will be AI assisted. And as a result, every role will change without exception. And some of the early trends you may have seen are in, for instance, marketing and sales, in software development, or in operation. So what's happening in these fields, in these functions? In marketing and sales, you see the emergence of the role of the GTM engineer. That's the term that seems to stick right now. And what does a GTM engineer do? That's a person who's going to build automated go-to-market systems with the help of AI. So it's going to create AI-powered funnels. It's going to score leads automatically with AI. And it's going to create one or multiple systems to convert leads into customers. So marketing and sales, you have the AI operator version of marketing and sales professionals seems to be, or one of these expressions is the GTM engineer. In software development, you've probably heard of vibe coding by now. And what does a vibe coder do? They ship products using AI native coding platforms where you're going to prompt and generate code instead of writing code from scratch. I see Steven is laughing because this is very, there is a big debate among software developers whether it's going to take things over entirely or not, or this is an alternative. But the reality is you have people that are now generating applications by simply talking to these systems. And so what they tend to do, these people, they focus on prompt engineering and solution engineering, like describing what the thing should do and how it should be architected, rather than writing the code from scratch. If we move to operations, I'm not sure entirely about the term and whether that is the one that will stick. There's a lot of different naming there. But increasingly in operations, you have business automation specialists. And these people are here to take existing processes and automate them, to build systems where workflow steps are automated. And they're going to use AI in different steps. Sometimes it is heavier on the automation side rather than the AI side. We're going to see the distinction and the difference. But what's certain is that today, if you work in operations and you don't learn to automate, your value is going to shrink over time because there's a lot of opportunities, a lot of tools out there that allow you to take existing tasks and automate them. So AI is about to redefine every role. There are some expressions of the AI operator, some early roles that emerged. Marketing and sales, we have the GTM engineer. Software development, the vibe coder, and maybe in operations, the business automation specialist. So what makes an AI operator? Like if we try to define a common denominator to these different roles that emerge, for us, it boils down to three main elements. And the first one we're going to see is having an AI mindset or an AI first mindset. So why do we start with mindset? Why is mindset so important? Because skills are temporary, especially in this age and time. Skills are going to be increasingly temporary. The tools, the platforms are going to evolve very, very quickly in terms of capabilities. But mindset is going to be permanent. Skills come and go, and mindset is going to endure. And part of the mindset is going to be this capacity, this ability to absorb any new knowledge or any new paradigm in the field you are in relatively quickly or quicker than most. And that AI mindset, if we break it down, it has three main components itself. It's going to be how you view AI, how you learn AI, and finally how you use it. So the three components is about perception, it's about learning AI, and it's about action. So some illustration there. One of the first mindset shifts we try to bring to any student, what we call let me ChatGPT that for you. And that is something that we see so few people doing. So back then, when already Google was available for a long time, there's this, the majority of people, when they have a question, they don't have the reflex to Google the question. And there was this website, it's still there, you can check it out, called Let Me Google That For You. And that used to be a passive-aggressive way to tell people who are not curious enough or not independent or autonomous enough, if they have a question that could be answered via Google search, that's something we would send people to. Let me Google that for you to see. It wasn't that difficult. You just had to enter your question, or be a little bit reflective on. Probably you can find it on the internet. You don't need my help for that. And Google will return the results. Well, today, as we're training hundreds of people on AI and automation, there's a common pattern, or there's two groups of people. There's people who systematically, aggressively use ChatGPT for absolutely every question they may have. And we have the rest. And yeah, this is really a big mindset shift because this is also something, if I look at how I use AI or how I use ChatGPT on a regular basis, I still find situations where instead of being stuck or instead of wondering what might be the solution, I could have asked this little fella for its opinion or for helping me troubleshoot. So first mindset shift, systematically using ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude whenever you have a question. And this is something that's much deeper than simply saying you should use it more. There are really layers to that. And actually, the people who are very, very advanced in how they use these solutions tend to use it 10 times, 20 times more than the average ChatGPT user. So don't fall into that trap. You have this opportunity to use this solution on a more systematic basis. Which brings me to, in terms of mindset, how you should view AI. There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of anxiety when it comes to these solutions. I think there's really two ways to take a look at it. Either you can be worried about what's coming, or you can realize that these solutions are like having, every one of us having a very, very smart intern. What does it mean? On one side, it's very smart. Not just smart, it's brilliant. It is trained on all the internet knowledge. It has access to internet to do extra searches. It is an expert across many domains, so it's not as good as the world's best expert in any field, but it has a ton of expertise in across all fields, and all you have is to ask. And so and on top of that, it's also able to learn almost anything you throw at it. So if you throw a document and then want to explain this is how we function internally, understand it, and then generate documentation out of it, for instance, it's going to be able to do that in a blip of a second. And yet, on the other hand, and that's the reason we're not getting the results we want systematically from these systems, it is still the intern that just joined your company yesterday. What does it mean? It doesn't know about your business. It cannot infer your intent. It cannot guess what you want, and all it's got is what you're going to give it in the chat box. And a second mistake that we see very frequently happening is people seeing they're not getting the results that we want while providing absolutely unclear prompts. There's no mystery. The problem comes from your instructions, and you are going to need to give much more context and much more instructions than you probably do at the moment. Okay, so once you have that smart intern, what can you do with it? Just to give you an idea of one workflow that I have. So I'm at 9X creating the courses or working on the lessons of the different courses. I don't spend entire weeks researching topics. I need quick results, and we need to move fast there. And so one thing that independently of the tool you are using, you have now access to, which was an entirely new feature in January on some of the platform, is deep research. So we have the last lesson of the AI operator that is not launched yet will be on AI ethics. I am not an AI ethics expert, so we'll need to familiarize myself with the topic. And whether you're in Gemini or if you are, so let me just switch. I've opened it as well on Claude. On Claude, you will have the same feature, deep research. Or on ChatGPT, you will have the little deep research feature right there. On any of these platforms now, this is something that was a test feature or something that they were just releasing in January, and now it's table stakes. So in the case of ChatGPT, I will need to answer those questions. I think in the case of Gemini, the UI is a bit different. I need to validate the research plan, and we can initiate the research. In the case of Claude, depending on the request, sometimes it just goes. Yeah, I need to clarify some of the questions there, and say, for instance, business perspective. What you do when you launch deep research is you have not going to have like a simple text completion request. You have an AI agent that is going to outline a plan to research the topic in question, and you can see what the plan is here. It's going to output its thinking and the different steps. I think we can already see that in Gemini, exactly. And it's going to research topics. And the last time I ran a query like this, I think that was for another lesson that I was preparing as well. Claude, for instance, returned 307 sources from its research. And for some of you, maybe you've already seen deep research, and that is not something that was released last week, so it shouldn't be a surprise for some of you. But I think the realization of what this means hasn't quite landed for most people. There's a lot of topics where we don't have an expertise, where right now you have potentially, right now I have 3 agents that are going to research my topic, right? I still need to reply to ChatGPT. But I can start, instead of starting from that blank canvas, that blank page, and doing a couple of web searches, I will have a starting point, 3 compiled reports that are going to include hundreds of links on the topic that I'm trying to understand. So that's one example of how you can use.
Alex,
Yeah.
just maybe before we move off the AI mindset topic, I think we had a really good question from Yina in the chat. She was asking, or they were asking, what are your thoughts on an overdependence on AI as a crutch for critical thinking?
Yes, so that's also one topic of worry from experts in the field, is that we are going to outsource the thinking as well. I think you will get, if we'll not get to a point where you simply have to communicate a direction or an objective and you will get exactly what you want. There will always be a distance between what you initially want to achieve and what the system will achieve. It will get better at reasoning and thinking. I think there's a big danger on over-relying on these systems. Definitely. You will see that the quality of the outputs is a function of the quality of your questions. And to have good questions, you still need to ask. Now, there's a hack as well that we show often. If you are, let's say you have a different, you want to do something that belongs to a field that is outside your area of expertise, the number one trick in this case is to ask AI what you should ask. So it's to have an initial prompt, or let's say I want to generate an image that is photorealistic, and I'm using Midjourney, and I have no experience whatsoever in generating photorealistic images. Well, the first thing I would do is go in ChatGPT, for instance, or maybe already in Midjourney, if it's possible to chat with it before it generates the image. And I will ask, this is what I want to do. How should I formulate my request? So it's 50-50, but I think eventually you will need expertise to ask better questions, and you will anyway need expertise to audit the results. And this brings me perfectly to the second point, which is the second ingredient that an AI operator needs, is some field expertise. And like this part is fundamental. Just let me know if there are other questions before we switch to that.
No, I think we're good.
Okay, so why do you need field expertise? Because field expertise is the taste needed to rule AI. If we take the example of generating social posts with AI, everyone today can sort of smell or read between the lines when a post has been AI generated. So there are some smart creators out there that probably have managed to remove that trace, that hint, by slightly tweaking their instructions. So taste is the topic that's heavily discussed at the moment, and some believe, more on the extreme side, that this will be at some point the only thing left. We will have the same interface, just text with chat or voice. We will delegate work to AI, and so everything will boil down, the end result will boil down to our instructions and so our preferences and our judgment. I'm not certain it's as simple as that. I think we'll have other interfaces. Unfortunately or fortunately, we'll still be sitting in front of computers and interacting with our interfaces. But we can already see that the combination of expertise in a certain field plus AI is already getting better results. So now, 3 examples. I mentioned photography. If you have studied photography, or if you have a strong interest in photography and you know the different types of cameras, you know about exposure, about light, and all these things that I do not know about, and you are using Midjourney, you are more likely, you have an edge towards generating photorealistic images. I remember a conversation last year with, at the time where the systems were not as good, with the person who was using Midjourney. She was a designer, she has photography training, and she showed me how she was already generating photorealistic pictures with Midjourney. And in her prompts, it was all vocabulary of photography. She was describing the camera, she was describing the angle, the exposure, and so on. This is a vocabulary that I do not have because I don't have an expertise in that field. Second example, here, maybe Steven can can breathe a little bit and see, okay, this is how 9x thinks about this as well. For when it comes to vibe coding, I believe that if you want to be a proficient vibe coder, you are better off already knowing programming or learning it as you are vibe coding applications. I don't believe that we'll get to a point where maybe for simple implications, you will just describe what you want and it will magically appear. But for more complex programming projects where you're going to have maybe like different services, you're going to have a database to manage, you're going to have interface to different APIs and all the things I do not know because I am not a programmer. Well, I think if you are a seasoned programmer, you will understand more of what Cursor returns, and you'll be able to have more control over these projects. Third example, for copywriting. If you are a copywriting expert, if you are in this field and you are using Claude, you're better position, I believe, for generating social posts and blogs. We had one of our past students last year who there was a 9x live session with him. He was trying to build systems to generate content on autopilot, just from a voice note, generate a LinkedIn post. All the prompts that he was crafting behind the scenes were all things I would never have thought about because I'm not a copywriter. They all had to do with the process from idea to generating a post for a particular audience to generate a particular reaction. So field expertise is fundamental because, yes, theoretically, we can all generate stuff with all these tools, but the difference between good and great will depend from that parameter in particular. The other good news when it comes to field expertise is that if you think about it, GenAI instantly unlocks expertise for you. So I'm not making the point that if you're a sales expert, the only thing you can do is build AI sales systems or sales AI powered systems, because you can learn much, much faster than before other areas that may be valuable for what you're trying to build. So before generative AI, if we take a sneak peek, like what separated you from having an expertise in sales was maybe 1,000 cold calls. You needed to learn objection handling. You needed to go through multiple sales training, have like actual sales field experience. If you wanted to work with data, like Steven, maybe you needed a statistics degree or coding skills or more years experience working with different data systems. For video, maybe you had to go to film school. You needed equipment. You needed editing software. For code, I think the barrier to entry is pretty clear. You need to spend a lot of time acquiring the skills. And the same applies to other fields. And you can think of GenAI as the key that unlocks access to these different skills and lets you leapfrog years of experience. So again, hear me out here. I'm not saying just ask ChatGPT what you should code and the code that it will output is magic. I'm not saying it will design the perfect optimized landing page for you in the first prompt, but it knows a lot in each of these fields. And before that, you had the barriers to entry where maybe you needed to know someone with that expertise. And now you have an assistant always available if you have questions in these areas, and that's going to unlock a lot of expertise for you. And so you don't need to be an expert anymore to start doing things, and you have access to all these areas. Yes, there's a question. Or someone is muted. All good? Okay. Last point on expertise. For me, the most important one and the most challenging one, and there I don't have a magic formula or a magic wand. Having field expertise is only half of the equation. Once you have that, you will need to codify your knowledge because you have the knowledge, AI doesn't have it. How do you explain what to do? And typically, I think it's helpful to understand that there's two types of knowledge. There's explicit knowledge on one side, and there's tacit knowledge on the other. What is explicit knowledge? It's knowledge that you can codify. You can write down, you can share easily. And so, for example, that's your internal documentation. If you have a process with 5 steps, we're going to describe the 5 steps. If you have a way of deciding, for instance, if a lead is interesting or not, you can elicit the criteria based on the size of the company, the job title of the person. So first, transmitting that explicit knowledge, this is going to be the first part. That's an easy part, but it's already a part where we are maybe a bit too lazy, or we don't make sufficient effort in really explaining everything. But with that, you're going to have already better results. But then comes the hard part, where I think we're all learning right now, which is tacit knowledge. So what you just know from experience. That is harder to articulate or write down. It's things you know, but you will find yourself struggling having to explain it even to colleagues. And so, for example, in this area, you have things like how you sense when a process is about to break. For me, typically, if we see, okay, we have a process right now, it's not super optimal, but it's okay. And then suddenly, let's say you increase the volume by 2 or 3. And some people are used to building processes. They will sense, or they will feel that it's time to give it an upgrade, because otherwise things are going to start to break. It is very hard to explain. That's also very subjective. In sales, it's how some people manage to read the room and define, okay, who has what are the power dynamics. In design, this is the never-ending debate of what is good design. And here we'll see, like, also subject to a lot of debate. And one of your big challenges when working with AI is going to codify both explicit and tacit knowledge into your instructions, because in the end, all you have is just text. And the more you can transfer your knowledge to AI systems, the more precise you are, you will see the better results you will get. Yeah, so third mindset shift when it comes to using AI is really getting ready to codify your knowledge. And you will see, I think it is one of the most challenging tasks. And here's an example, tell you concretely. Where we have, internally, we have a process that is, let's say on the explicit knowledge is already pretty well rounded up. And you will see that the barrier towards fully automating it is more on the tacit knowledge side. So for this, I'm going to show you at a high level what we have, like our setup for lead gen. So all of you, when you, which uses Atio as our CRM, Clay for enrichment, and an agent I built on Lindy to reach out to people. And the overall goal of that setup, that lead gen setup, is people like you signed up to the event today end up in that system. You're landing in our CRM first. And then we are enriching you with Clay if it's the first time we heard about you. So we're looking for your function, your company, and so on and so forth. And then we push that information plus how we heard about you. So for instance, for those of you who first heard about us with this event, we will see the information that you signed up to the workshop, how to become an AI operator. If it's the 10th time you do a workshop, we will see that as well. That's the process at a high level. And inside our systems, right here, and while Gemini is finishing working for us, very good. So you first land in that's in Atio, you will first land in a list. So those are the late signups to the workshop. Okay, so far so good. Then we do a bunch of automation there that is going to send each of you to the different tables in Clay to enrich. So this people are received there and then sent to this table. We do a series of actions to look for information, your job title, your company, etc., etc. We do the same with your company. If we haven't heard of your company yet, we want to look for all that information. And then eventually, I'm skipping some steps because it's not the most important. We send it to this agent, and it's receiving the lead information. It's qualifying the you or not. And based on the outcome, it's going to craft an email, which my initial intent was to have something fully automated. We know exactly who you are. We know exactly why you entered the system. Maybe you joined the workshop or you signed up to a course and so on. We have all the information, and I just need AI to draft the email. And so right now the outcome in my inbox is I have a lot of emails, and we're not sending them yet. Why? Because this is exactly where I'm struggling is that thing here. So let me get back here first. At one step before sending the email, before crafting the email, there are some additional instruction on how should you reach out based on the type of person that's out there and the signal. And that is very hard to elicit because there are many different cases. So right now, this document is okay. There are different ways you join our CRM. There are different routes. You can sign up to an event, a course, workshops, etc. Then I have some high-level outreach instructions, and then I have some different examples. But I'm not getting quite the emails I want, or it's not reliable enough so that tomorrow I can say, instead of drafting the email, you can send it directly. And the distance between that state where we can do that on autopilot, if ever, is to be much more refined in the instructions for the outreach, what to say, when not to say it, and here we need to get a lot more granular. And it's not as simple as just saying, well, if it's a CRO, I want you to send that email, that type of email. There's going to be a lot of explaining, a lot of tacit knowledge, and a lot of discovery as well on our end before we can start automatically sending some of these emails. So I hope this proves the points or illustrates. Let me know if you have any question there. Otherwise, I can move on. Any questions on this one?
No, I think we're all good.
Beautiful. Okay. So mindset, field expertise, and the third ingredient is technical expertise. So, which technical skills should you learn? So first of all, independently of the fact whether you are already, let's say, a developer or you are more on the business side, I really think that since the technologies are going to be much more accessible, there's really a direction over the last 20 years where tech is becoming on one side more powerful, but it's also becoming much more accessible. And no code was one wave before AI that already allowed a lot of people non-technical to do similar things that developers, like to build automations, to build little apps sometimes. And so the first thing is we will all need to develop some form of technical skills. There's different levels to that. So that's our view. Simplify, I'm going to walk you through it. First, you have foundational skills, like what we call it AI basics, maybe. These are skills we believe absolutely everyone should learn because they are going to make you a more proficient user of AI chat solution. You'll be better at ChatGPT. You'll be better at Gemini, or you'll be better at Claude. And it's going to be pretty relevant soon because these platforms are on one side going to, they're not going away, and they are also going to become more powerful. If the trend, like if the last 2 years have proven anything, is that they are really getting adding a lot of powerful functionalities there, and now it's time for us also to catch up and realize what we can do with these. Second, more in the middle, AI is the gateway to automation. And today, to learn automation without coding, if you're non-techie, you have 4 pillars, automations, like basic automations without AI. Some knowledge of data and databases, some knowledge of APIs, and finally, more recent knowledge on AI automations that more like combines these 3. And finally, you have like this is more emerging as of this year, so maybe this overview is going to change real quick. You have what I'll call specialized AI generation. So you are still using models to generate specific things. There we have vibe coding. I think this is really a field of its own, where I believe you should, if you don't have these when you start, you should get interested in coding, understand what gets generated. You have image generation, and more recently with Sora from OpenAI, but also the VO3 model from Google. Video generation is really heating up, and so if you've been in the video content space for a while, these are tools that are completely different to use than ChatGPT, but are also very interesting to develop some skills on. So if we dive into AI basics, this is at a high level, and we spend a lot of time thinking about what should go in, what should not get in. At a high level, what every office worker, I would say, every white collar should get an understanding of and mastery to be proficient with chat solutions. On you have like three different pillars. On the left, you have first like some basic understanding of what is generative AI, what are the different types of models. You have models to generate images, you have models to generate text, you have models to do different things, and it's worth understanding how they function and how they're different. And then more specifically, the main category are large language models, Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini. Having an understanding of what at a high level is happening under the hood for this model is also important. Then the column in the middle, this is more on the practical side. Once you roughly understand what the technology can do for you and what it is, this is more the practical aspect with prompt engineering. So learning to craft effective instructions, better instructions. And here one of the goals when you're trying to get better at prompting is being able at some point to one-shot your results. So what do I mean by that? A lot of you are maybe still chatting with these solutions and getting maybe to a better result after a couple of back and forth, like a couple of adjustments inside the chat solution. But if you are doing something on a recurring basis, for instance, you are generating always the same type of project briefing and you always have the same ingredients, then prompt engineering in this context will boil down to trying to get to that result with a single prompt. And so there are the different methods and different things that go into improving your prompts until you get there. And that's the foundational skill, which I think we should all develop. Next to that, still on the practical side, having an understanding of the different platforms available besides chat solutions, and understanding how you can find the use cases for you that give you real leverage and how you can build against them will be quite important. And then finally, you have that third leg, that third pillar, which is more being aware of the limitations, the implications of using AI and the potential risks. Right now, maybe the number one pattern we see in companies is first, the company does not really clarify which solution should be used. And as a result, many employees are using ChatGPT personal accounts and sometimes sharing sensitive data from the company in these solutions. I think we need to all graduate from that basic usage and start understanding the implications and also having being more careful and more aware of the limitations of these systems. So these are the basics. And once you cover the basics, some of you might want to upgrade to AI automation. And so for AI automation, it really starts with automation and brings AI at the end. And I want to bring back this post that I shared in December last year, where basically this post resonated because at the time all we could hear about on social media was AI agents as the new solution to absolutely everything. And this post sort of created a distinction between automation on one side, AI workflows, and AI agents. And the key message of this post was that now there's strong interest for companies, from different companies in AI solutions. Companies want AI. Well, in many cases, what they are looking for, what they need first is automation. So a lot of interest on the right side on AI agents. They also tend to be a bit more spectacular when you see them running because you can talk to them and they look a little bit like digital employees. But in reality, a lot of the solutions for businesses are in these two categories, first and foremost. And the reality today is that you see many accounts sharing AI agents and claiming that they automated half of their sales team, while none of these AI agents are live. Prime example, if you take people claiming that they have automated their content team and they publish blog articles on autopilot and all this works fully automated. You can just check their blog posts, their company blog, or how many posts they are sharing on LinkedIn or wherever else, and you will see that this doesn't really align with what they are claiming. And so it's less fancy, but a lot of the solutions that we want to build and you want to learn are first automation, first AI, second. Now that statement out of the way, if you want to learn automations, there's really three pillars. First, one side, which is having some general culture around automations and the web in general, because everything, when we talk about automation or via these different use cases that you've seen before, we're really talking about leveraging web technologies, and there are not many. The foundation of the web is very old and hasn't changed much. You have HTTP, which is the protocol where information is transferred. It's also used in APIs. You have HTML, JavaScript, and CSS, which are the three languages of the web that is used to generate the pages that you see. So having a rough understanding of these, plus objects, which is one core programming concept that I think should be taught almost in like all business schools next to databases. This really unlocks your understanding of what is possible and creates a new perspective on how work gets done. Next to that is about structuring automations, about learning to build. That's one thing. If you are tinkering with Zapier, with Make, and other of these solutions, it is very easy and exciting to start building your first automations and getting a first result. Eventually, you will realize that the more you build, the more you have things around that you need to know that are maybe less fun, but very necessary, such as how you're going to test your automations before you release them, how you're going to debug issues because there will be errors, things like that are less fancy, but which will separate proof of concept from actual automations that deliver. Once you have that, there's another area which has, and here disclaimer, this has nothing to do with coding. This is much easier to learn than programming. This looks like code, but it's not that complicated. And that's APIs and webhooks. And APIs are going to help you connect applications with each other. Any tool you use, any modern piece of software has two interfaces. The GUI, so graphical user interface. This is what you use in order to interact with your CRM. You're going to log in, you're going to click in open many windows, type text, and get out at the end of the day. So that's one way for humans. For applications, we use the API. And those are the topics that you should master and you should understand in order to be comfortable with APIs. That is not a topic that takes a quarter to learn. That is a topic that once you understand it, you have really a big epiphany on what is possible with automation. You start to see automation opportunities everywhere. And if you're serious about learning these types of skills and like becoming proficient at automation, that's one area you won't be able to avoid for too long. It's also a fun one.
And Alex, maybe just before we jump into data and databases, a couple of questions. First of all, from Izzy, who says they remembered the post about the AI workflows versus agents from last year, December. I think you touched on it a little bit, but was wondering after 7 months, what's your take on how the hype has evolved?
Well, I think it's still very much there. There's been a wave afterwards of people. So we're connected on LinkedIn with a lot of people that run automation agencies or that are, let's say, more, you can tell, are more proficient at building automations that sort of like stay away from this trend. There's a sub-trend which very much encourage of people posting very boring automations. If this happens, then that happens. 2 modules, it works since 3 years, it ran 3,000 times. It's not worth a LinkedIn post, but that's what you should aim for if possible. There's also been some people responding to this post, myself included, like saying, well, if it automated your content team, I don't want to see your NA10 scenario. I would like to read your blog so we can evaluate the output. Almost never the author replies with the link or anything. So the conversation has not yet shifted to outputs because these posts work very well on LinkedIn. But I think it's more a matter of time, and I think it's a shame because that's the reputation of the industry that we're playing there. Yeah. See, if we were to tell you, well, take our courses, learn these skills, and then you can automate your SDR team, that would only last for a few months, and then you'll come back, or we'll start having bad reputation. So I think long term, just need to tell the truth that it's these solutions, AI agents are very emergent. They will get better over time, but right now, the most of the applications of AI agents are for, I would say, internal processes. Why? Because if there's a mistake, there's less implications. And for this, there's one 9x live that we did 2 or 3 weeks ago with the CEO and founder of Lindy.ai, which is one of these agentic platforms, where he showed his use cases. And it really hit me at the end. Everything he showed was internal, like basically he was digitalizing his chief of staff. So it was a series of agents that help him prepare meetings, research attendees, and some workflows to forward or delegate tasks internally. So things that are very much reversible. But when we're talking about, and most of the claims online are about generating revenue, creating content at scale on autopilot. Right now, I don't believe any of these claims. I think, and I will only believe the ones that just show, here's the output. Just show your blog. Don't show your agents. Like we don't really care how it's built. Just show us. There are some accounts that are doing that. I believe on Instagram and TikTok. There are some AI native channels experimenting there. So I'm not saying this is entirely fake. People are experimenting there. But for the majority of cases, I think it's still very early and still holds very true.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one more question on this part, and Ratko, we will get to your question as well, but I think that Alex might cover that in a couple of slides. But more on again, back to the learning side of things. So, asking, would basically like system design be a foundational skill to learn when it comes to building good automations?
Well, this one's a hard one because this is one of the skills I do not know yet how to teach that. Like, and I think so when we talk about systems, I think there are people that are very good at processes. They may have this might be an edge in some cases, but in other cases, maybe your AI system is going to be better if you're very clear in your instructions, and it's more a question of language. So yes, in general, if you are very good at systems design, I think you'll have an edge. But that's one for me. That's more a question mark on how do you teach that? How do you get good at that? And is it something generic across the board for across all functions, or is it something that is more specific to each function? Or put differently, do you need to learn? Do you need to learn systems design and combine it with some sales experience to build the best sales systems, or is there more a rabbit hole of sales systems called GTM engineering that requires really good, like a specific type of interest and systems to build. And if you go to recruiting afterwards, you can apply some of it, but it's an entirely different game. Like there, for me, the question is still open.
Perfect. All right. Then, yeah, one more question, but I think we can cover that when we get to the AI automations part.
Okay. So one, like APIs is really the technical, one of the technical chapters that one must learn if one wants to go deep into automation. The second one is data and databases. And that's at a high level, there's this transition. We leave spreadsheets and we go inside databases. So it's many companies are still processing a lot of their data today in spreadsheets. There's hundreds of processes. Like the bigger the company, the more spreadsheets supporting processes there are. And eventually, if we are really almost like dogmatic about the approach, spreadsheets should be only used for unstructured data. So if I do business cases or if I do calculations, it's not like you will still use spreadsheets. But if we have structured data, if we have like you have processes where you have a list of invoices inside or you download CSVs and then you work with that data, they should eventually land in a database like Airtable or Coda or the next one. And the processing of that data should be automated. And so there, it's really learning how to transform data, how to transfer it. A lot of processes still involve copy pasting, going from one tool to another. These are things that with the technologies, the tools that are available today, all of that could potentially go away, but you have to engineer the solutions. And then when it comes to databases and storing data inside these, well, if you're not an engineer and if you're not building databases on a regular basis, that's also something we need to learn. How to structure our tables, how to utilize their functionalities to the max in order to automate the data processing. Once we have that, so once we have 1, 2, 3 automations, APIs, and databases, we can bring AI back in and build AI automations. So at a high level, for me, AI automations includes AI workflows, which are more like these ones in the middle. So it's still linear series of steps, but we're going to call large language models in the middle, maybe to extract the information of an invoice or to generate an email. But it will be part of a linear process. You will also have agents, and for this, they are platforms. So like the last 2 9x Live or the last 3 9x Live workshops were on AI workflow and AI agent platforms. Jan had a session last week with Relevance AI. So if you want to build AI agents, they are without writing code. There are platforms like Relevance that allow you to do that. But you will see in a platform like Relevance, there are layers of things you need to understand. Some of the tools in Relevance, if you want to build a custom tool that an AI agent uses, you're going to need some API knowledge for that. You're going to need some prompting knowledge. So it all builds up. And that is more, that's the last floor, but that's something that requires you to have a bit of experience with AI, with automation first. So here are some of the topics. The last recent entry, like 6 months old, is Model Context Protocol, MCP, which you see a lot of people are playing with at the moment. There is potential, but it's still early when it comes to being 100% sure we can deliver reliable solutions with this technology or what to do with it. But a very exciting field. Yes.
And Alex, this was like Ratko's question, specifically asking how much would you go deeper into RAG and MCP? Is it just that as an AI operator, you just need to understand what they are and what their purpose are, but you don't need to like get into the ins and outs of how they work, or is it an area where you think you should go deeper in, or those two areas?
I think there's a big debate there. I see also a pattern with people who fall into automation and just realize that they love building and they love that stuff. Well, if you love that and that going deep into these topics, uh, getting more precise in what you can do with those brings you joy, and you see value in that, don't hesitate. Come from more another angle that I think the different platforms are going to abstract some of the engineering for us. And so typically for RAG, if you take a platform like Relevance, they like RAG is a more advanced way to give knowledge to your agents rather than just uploading a document. If you have a lot more data, you're going to need a setup leveraging RAG. That's complicated. There are different layers to that. But some of the depending on your use case, some of the platforms are going to give you already very, very good out-of-the-box solutions. And so that's really personal preference or priorities, but and also depending on your use case. But I think eventually I would try to learn just enough to understand it. And remember, like we're discussing skills that you should acquire if you want to learn automation, but maybe you have colleagues that are engineers. For those questions that are a bit more advanced, it doesn't mean that if you learn automation that you need to build all by yourself. And personally, if I have a case of information retrieval that's advanced, I'm not going to pretend I am an engineer that understands all of that. They are experts in the field, and if you have something more advanced, I will ask for help. I will also ask for help to Claude or ChatGPT in that regard first. So yeah, it's potentially never-ending rabbit hole, but be intentional about why you're learning this.
Absolutely.
In the end, we want outcomes.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe now going back a little bit onto the data and databases topic, was a question from Judith asking how you would approach the skills of data and databases as a non-techie. Of course, apart from maybe jumping and grabbing the 9X courses, but maybe you can touch a little bit on, for instance, leveraging tools like Airtable to actually help understanding that a database doesn't need to require you to spin up a server anymore, right? That these are now more available to business people.
Yeah. Well, without course, you should start playing with it. I think it helps to have small projects and to you learn through building. Like same way if you go through our courses, there's the theory, just enough theory. We're not big fans of very long lectures, never-ending lectures on all the things you need to know about databases, like just enough. But then there's a lot of practice. And so with a tool like Airtable, the best way to learn it is to have a little project that you want to maybe build and that you could test inside Airtable. I think it's a great playground to experiment there, and start building your database and try to see how your database supports or doesn't support the features that you want your app to do eventually. Because database is not a topic that you should take in isolation. Database is where you store the data, but that data you want to use eventually. And in Airtable, you have the 3 layers of building. You have, now we can jump in there. Huh? It's not was not planned, but we also have a 9X Live on Airtable if you're new to it and want to discover it. But if we just create one like this, yeah, maybe the one tip on databases, and Airtable perfectly summarizes how you should think about building is it is not in isolation. You have eventually you want to have an interface where people are going to interact with your data, and you build your database, you sculpt your database as you try to build features for your interface. So if you want to have a, let's take an example, you have a project management app, and you figured out at the beginning that you have tasks and users, and then suddenly you have a new requirement, you want to have aggregate tasks under a project. Well, that's going to require a project table. And I think if you go through several examples and you try to scout your database and get there, you do 3-4 projects there, and you will start to have some questions on, well, that setup is not very convenient to store data, and that setup works better. Why is that? And that's also a way to learn these tools. Yeah, so I would look into that this way.
Perfect.
Okay, and this is frozen. No, okay. Okay, so that at a high level is your roadmap towards becoming an AI operator. So it's really the combination of all three. A shift in mindset. You are probably not using AI enough. I have that realization maybe once or twice a month that I am not using AI enough. There's really layers to that. Second is your field expertise or your different fields of expertise. And here the main challenge is going to be you need to transmit that to your system. So if you want to delegate to a person, you will need to explain very well and potentially also monitor what you're doing and all of that good stuff. The same applies to AI. If you want to the work to be conducted your way and according to your expertise, you will need to codify your knowledge. Think about how challenging that can be in certain cases. And then finally, technical expertise. Well, we're here to help. I think here there's also a mindset shift that I have not mentioned, is to not be afraid of tech anymore. To not immediately switch your brain off if you see an API documentation. What you could do also is feed that documentation to ChatGPT and ask it to explain to you what is this document saying. Don't shy away from embracing that side, and you will see you may eventually enjoy it as well. Like we did. It's happened to Jan, it's happened to Pete, it's happened to myself, and it is pretty rewarding when you can build solutions, your own automations and your own solutions. Which brings me to so that's sort of like the end where we can have a Q&A afterwards. So we're launching today the AI operator course. So that's the course in the middle. In terms of skill, that's the course that covers these here. And we have a launch offer. So I don't know until when in the summer because we haven't discussed it, but basically the course is at 99 euros for now, let's say. And I think Jan will share the payment link in the chat if anyone's interested, or you can scan the QR code that you can see there. And other than that, if you have I'm open to taking your questions. If you have any things on the presentation that you want me to go over, happy to take these.
So we had a couple more questions from the chat that we haven't got to yet. First of all, this is one that comes up quite a lot. But are agents that we build in Relevance AI the same or different, or is there a difference between Relevance AI agents and agents in N8N or Make?
But we had this debate internally, and I think it's difficult to appreciate because what I'm going to say now, maybe it's not true it's not true anymore in 5 years, in 5 months. But I can tell you they come from different angles. N8N and Make and Zapier as well come from were integration platform or automation platforms. So they started as interfaces where you can connect, create automations, and eventually afterwards AI workflows. And so their strength is they have a lot more integrations, or they have a lot of integrations. And then eventually they saw these new platforms like Lindy and Relevance emerging that are agentic platform. And The main difference with those, but again, it's a matter of like a configuration, and you can probably build very similar use cases and get very similar outcomes now. The main difference is that there is an LLM sitting on top of every Lindy or every relevance agent. So the unit, the main unit in these platforms is the agent. The main unit in NA10 or in Make historically was the workflow. Now these converge, and it's interesting because in no code you also had a convergence. For a long time you had applications, or you had no code platforms that were allowing you only to build front end. Airtable initially only allowed you to build databases, and you had platforms like Zapier that only allow you to build automations. And what happened over time is that they converge. So with Airtable, you can build interfaces, automations, and databases. The same happened to Software. Software is a competitor of Airtable. They just released their databases functionality, and now they are on par, or at least they offer the three areas. And so I think this question will become less relevant over time because, yeah, you will be able to build agents in NA10 and the same in Relevance and the same in Lindy. Now, what's the difference, or how are you going to choose between those solutions? First, a lot of these platforms are paper operations, so we are open to testing multiple of them, and sometimes it's more convenient to build in Make than in Lindy or vice versa. And then second, the main difference is going to be in the tools they build. And so, for instance, in Lindy, there's a meeting recorder. That is very, very good tool. That's their most popular tool. And I don't think you have that tool in Relevance. So if meeting recording and you want to have workflows.
They recently added it just because of how popular it was in Lindy. Yeah.
So the perfect example. So now they saw it's going to be. It's not, yeah, this just shows that the market is going to catch up also in that area. Like the Lindy for a long time was super popular because of that meeting recorder and because it just worked like magic. And so the tools, depending on what you're trying to do, I don't know, like if you are trying to do a lot of things with social media or interacting with people on LinkedIn, Relevance has some triggers there that Lindy may not have, or actions there. It will boil down to that, because what's for sure is I would always, even if I can build some custom functionality myself, I will always prefer using a tool that's been built, refined, engineered by software engineers. Like I'm not building a meeting recorder, and I'm not building insert anything too complex, and that might just guide you, push you towards one solution over the other, depending on your use case.
Nice. And then we had a very, like, let's say, poignant question from Marie in the chat, and it's something that we've actually been, it's something that comes up a lot in conversations we have with particularly like enterprise companies that we're training, is can someone realistically learn AI agents with a demanding full-time job?
That's a good one. I don't think so. I think you need to make time for it. Like I really think this is our course. So the third course, the AI Builder, is if you have to do all the exercises, if you go through it and you take your time and so on, it's about 100 hours. You need to make time for it, and there is right now with some of the companies we work with a lot of discussions around. If we enroll people in one of our programs to learn automation, what does this mean for the time they are going to learn with us, but also what does this mean afterwards? Because it's not just about learning, but if you learn graphic design over a quarter, like the next thing you should do the quarter after is using those skills, not going back to your previous job. And so that's the same with AI automation. It's something that we provide the introduction, but it's something also where you need to practice, you need to be building, and then means the jobs need to change. And I think the market hasn't quite adjusted to that. I think it will soon. First with like in two ways. Companies will realize the value of having people that can automate inside their different teams. And so maybe on the training side, they will understand that the investment is not just the training provider, whether us or someone else, but also the time and yeah, that people need to leave the job or the organization they belong to and sort of like go on a separate track. And I think there's also going to be value for what we see right now is companies are actively looking for people with these skills. I think this comes first, and then we'll come also to the realization that they can train them internally. But either way, it's going to be an investment.
Yeah, absolutely. I think also that's why we see, for instance, the emergence of the GTM engineer, which sort of like evolved out of RevOps. Typically, people whose job it is to improve processes or are responsible for processes for many people, they're the ones that might have more time for learning automations or agents than necessarily a salesperson whose job it is to be on the phone all day, because the task is slightly geared towards any much more towards building agents or building automations, because that's the area they're looking into anyway.
Other questions?
Yes. So Judith was asking around the courses. Is the course live lessons or self-paced recorded materials?
So we have a mix. So the course itself. So overall, what we offer is like a training program. The technical part, that those pieces here, this is all recorded and exercises. But next to it, we have the workshops on a weekly basis that complement that, because here you're learning to cook basically. You're going to learn how to chop onions and how to fry and all these different skills universal to cooking. But then you have that other aspect that is how you use those skills in the next platform for which use cases, and that's there's a lot more to unpack that we would not put in the course, and that's through the regular live workshops. So that's a mix, but inside the course itself, what you find in the learning platform is exercises, demos, showing you how to do some of the pieces of automation in different platforms, and exercises. Yeah. Sorry, lessons, exercises, and demos.
And on the course, a couple of people have messaged me as well on this. If you are opening the link, Stripe is a little bit, let's say, sensitive. It would take like 4 or 5 seconds for the Stripe coupon to appear. So it's the discount is definitely there, especially if you open it on mobile. You might just need to wait
Should look like
4 or
this.
5 seconds, and
This
then
should
you will,
load.
the 149 beautifully becomes 99.
No.
Question from Izzy. How do you currently explain companies and work councils the role of AI in enhancing and not replacing teams' capabilities or employees?
Not sure I understand the
So
question.
it's about how do we explain that AI should be used for enhancing the output of people or enhancing people rather than replacing them?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's pretty. It is like none of these systems. You could argue with automation that the like automations have never replaced entire jobs, or like it's a very far-fetched. So these would be very weird jobs. Nobody has a job to once they look at who signed up on your website and Webflow, and every day copy that data and paste it inside your CRM. That's a pretty bad job. So automations, you cannot put someone's job in front of a list of automations. There is always things to do that, and usually the most important, the most critical, that require a human. And that's the same with AI. I think with AI, there is this myth, since LLMs output human readable text and they're getting better at this, and the voice is getting better and all those stuff. There is, and also the marketing campaigns like this one, which is a very smart one. You've probably seen, see which one I'm referring to. This AI BDR company called Artisan AI. Um, yeah, things like this. They really contribute to yeah, like that myth that we're going to replace people overnight. I'm very curious what's about this space in particular, about the actual results of those solutions. Um, I really don't believe like some jobs may change radically. We can see it already in customer support, but like there's no way these systems go on autopilot overnight. So it's more an evolution, a transformation. What's for sure is the jobs of today are not going to be the same in 5 years or in 2 years. Yeah, and just need to get ready for that. And I think embracing AI is going to be an important part of it. Um, there's no point resisting it, in my opinion. Um,
So on the other end of resisting it, I think it ties nicely to Roman's question. Definitely one more for you, Alex. How do we organize our learning without getting bogged down in rabbit holes? There's a fire hose of information, and the signal noise ratio isn't always healthy. So I'm one that definitely gets bogged down in rabbit holes. So Alex, how do you approach that?
but you mean for the topics we select?
No, just in general, like tips on organizing our learning. So how do we keep an
Yeah.
eye on what do we need to know in AI? What's just noise? And yeah,
The
exactly.
first
Roman says
signal,
within the Gen AI space.
so it's difficult because so on one side it's so this definitely a tacit knowledge advice because it's gonna be hard to transfer maybe, but so if it's not about a use case you care about, if it's not about like meaningfully improving your work or your process or your workflow, why should you care about it? Like if VO3 you can generate Hollywood videos. Well, I'm not making videos, so I'm not looking into it that much. Like I can watch a quick demo, but then we move on. I'm not going to jump into VO and try to make videos unless I need to make videos. So this like first select for the things that are relevant to you. And then the second is, but that's sometimes it's you should do the exact opposite. But I would tend to not follow the next shiny object every week and stick to developing core skills and core understanding. There's already a lot to do inside ChatGPT that most of us haven't explored. So we'd start there first. And at some point you will reach some limits with ChatGPT. You'll be, well, that's great, but like I have a great prompt that I use every Monday, and it helps me greatly in that process. But do I need to prompt every Monday, or could I also simply like put it inside automation? And then that's the next rabbit hole. Like how do I use automation for that prompt? And you build up with utility, not novelty. You should not build up with, yeah, like it's always interesting to see what's there. I think it's our job more to look into things like that. Yeah, so like I installed Cursor this week, and I'm going to see what's possible there. I also think it's rather complicated and niche, but especially for business profiles. But maybe who knows? But I wouldn't worry too much about that. Like if you're already in this webinar, and you think you have like maybe a bit of ground to cover still with prompting, and you're looking for your first use cases, I would focus on that. I would not. You can play with Lovable if you want to see a little bit what it can do, but just utility. Like, are you going to build apps? No? Okay, so then just check Lovable 5 minutes so you understand what it can do, but focus on the stuff that you will actually be useful for you.
Perfect. Yeah, Roman says thanks. Good advice. Question from Mark, which goes back to the example you showed before, Alex, on the outreach, like drafting, basically having AI draft the outreach messages. So you mentioned that it would take a lot more info to get the emails customized to have them fully automated for an automatic outreach. He had the same issue with a customer service AI assistant that he created for a client. He's curious what your approach would be to providing enough context to an email response agent, or in our case, the outreach AI assistant, and the process for gradually moving towards having confidence for a fully automated solution rather than a human in the loop solution.
Yeah. Yes. So I've thought about that. What are the next steps for the thing I showed you? I could not find the post again, but I saw a post last week that was summarizing how some people in automated outreach are tackling that. And if I can draw it, like basically there's, you have that linear workflow with different steps, and then at the end, I would just you would just prompt the LLM to generate the email or the agent to generate the email, and there's just one prompt and one thing. What the post was showing was a there you had hundreds of different branches. What is he doing? This lead gen or this outreach expert, he has just explained for every interesting or important case how to do that exactly. I let you imagine. So imagine 90 different branches, all very specific. So that's like for us, what would it mean? Would say, well, if it's a CRO of a B2B SaaS of more than 200 people that is based in Germany, we've worked with a few. We want to include them, and here's are one or two very good examples. Well, the problem is going to take time, and then there's also a risk reward. Like if there's no more, if there's few CROs coming knocking at the door, it will be a waste of time. But like I don't see it as full automation. I see it as gradual automation of some cases that where you feel comfortable. And there, what I can share, I'm gonna try keeping my camera, but I hope what I can share is another agent we have on Lindy that I've shown in past 9x lives. So, and this one replies to YouTube comments, and you'll see a bit the approach here. So it gets a new comment on YouTube. It's going to define whether we commented back or not. Like, is it a comment from 9x or is it a comment from somebody else? It's going to draft a response, and basically, we give it two options. Either it's a happy flow, or it qualifies for what I call an auto reply. And what are these right now? Well, you see, it's fairly obvious. Is if it's a generic praise, if the comment is like, "Oh, great video," or "Thanks, I learned something." Well, in there, I can pretty much say every time this happens, I want you to auto reply and short and sweet, encourage the viewer to build with the technology of what we show in the video. Reference the video if helpful. And those are on autopilot. And those are now maybe 10% or 20% of the comments we get. And so I see automation with agents or with workflows more a process of identifying cases that can be fully automated, where you know exactly what you want and you're going to explain it. Sometimes it's going to require a certain level of detail. And then these ones you can put on autopilot. I don't think you'll get ever to a point where also we don't want that, but where all the agents we build are going to, all the comments we get on YouTube will be automatically responded to by this agent. So same for the outreach. Maybe the next step is to look at the most common profile that knocks at the door that is interesting for us, and start crafting this automated message. That would be one.
And on this one, Matt also added a really nice idea in the comments. Actually, it's something that is definitely possible with tools like Relevance Lindy because they have these features baked in. So asking, have we explored trying to train or collect good examples automatically as we correct the agent through human in the loop? So basically, the agent will give a suggestion for, hey, this should be the outreach. Often you're correcting it, but actually training that back in, and it could be something that actually gets this agent towards being able to cover 100% of the cases.
Absolutely. We don't do any reinforcement learning there. We should. Yeah.
On that one, though, there's always like that. That's the thing is reinforcement learning only works for when the same case comes up again.
Yeah.
And doesn't quite catch a new case that hadn't been experienced yet.
Yeah. I think you have the same pattern with customer support, where the tools are trying to bring up that number. How many requests? What's the share of requests that are automatically responded to. But yeah, that's a process of they manage to automate the easy ones. Yeah, I want to reset my password. Okay, like easy. But there's the edge cases, and depending on the process you're trying to automate, maybe the edge case is at 10%. Maybe they are more than that, and can never be fully automated. Yeah, iterative process for sure, absolutely. And this becomes the job. Yeah, you manage the agent that manages the process. And that's also the thing that changes. You don't build an agent and set it and forget it. Congratulations, if you build an agent, you are the manager of the agent, and you're going to see whether they did well or not. You're going to correct the mistakes, adjust the prompts, maybe sophisticate it a little bit more so that it handles more cases, and so on and so forth. Okay.
Awesome.
Anything else? All good?
All good. Thanks so much.
All right.
Cheers,
Then-
Roman.
Yes, thank you all for joining. Those who stayed till the end. Let us know if you have any other questions, and the recording is going to be out on YouTube shortly. It was a pleasure. Bye bye.